when it comes to the quality of education for our children is also equally good. It can also be a very good point of entry for the, particularly for the Indian businessmen and exporters, to have Malta as a base to distribute their products across Europe. And one of the most important aspect which only Malta offers, nobody else, is the gaming zones. Particularly if the companies are interested in establishing the gaming companies, gaming websites, then Malta is the only jurisdiction, as I understand, Janelia, in Europe who provides the, legalizes the gaming. So with all these different topics, Janelia and Anna is going to talk about, I'm not going to take much of the time. So Janelia, it's up to you. Please start the presentation. Thank you.
Um, so nice to have you all here. Thank you, Ajmera Law Firm, for inviting us again to be able to speak about the programs, and more so this time have the opportunity to even discuss some matters, even with anyone who would want to open up with any particular topic about any particular topic. We can start actually by talking about, I'd say, the relocation options. We've got citizenship and we've got residency. Let's look a little bit on the requirements and eligibility of the programs and what the benefits from these programs will be. Anna, can you?
So before we proceed to the benefits of the programs, I wanted to give a little overview of the island, what you would be actually gaining by choosing Malta as a relocation destination. Malta, first of all, is a very small island, but it's a full member of the EU, and English is the main language, not only of the island, but the full language of the business in Malta. So, which means that the whole business, which is conducted on the island, is held in English. All the documents are in English, which makes it very easy for investors to relocate here and use it as their benefit. Secondly, Malta is amazingly located in the middle of Europe, Middle East, and Africa, in the center of all the important economic crossroads, and also provided the excellent ICT infrastructure. As well, it is a very, very safe country, safe from crime, safe from natural disasters, so it's perfect to settle here. It's stable in terms of social and industrial climate. It offers amazing advantage corporate tax regime where it can go as low as 5% for the company's income, etc., etc. And Maltese government tries to do everything possible to attract foreign investors by also providing various investment support measures, which can include specific packages designed for particular investment times, whether it could be allocation of space or fiscal benefits or any other access to finance, which can help investors to come here, not somewhere else, basically. Also, Malta is one of the countries where it could be good for your children to study, making it for one of the best 4% worldwide within university education, as well as the 5th best country in the world and 1st best in Europe in healthcare facilities and healthcare access to the population. Also, since we are presenting this for our Indian colleagues, we wanted to focus a little bit more on the Indian population, considering the size of Malta, which is only, as Janella mentioned earlier, 500,000 people in Malta. We would say that Indian population is already quite big on the island, and these are the official numbers, which says that there are 3,200 Indians living, but to be honest, I think there is much more every day because people come because they find it very suitable location and very comfortable to live in, as well as good for the relocation of their companies. For example, there is a very well-known Aurobindo pharmaceutical plant based in Malta, which is a leading Indian company. And it's not an exception that Indian communities also celebrate their holidays in Malta, such as Diwali Polyonam, and other Hindu festivals. And obviously, everyone likes Indian food, so there are a lot of Indian restaurants in Malta as well. But talking about some main numbers, if we look at the GDP growth in Malta, we don't have the statistics of 2020, but as you can see on the screen, it shows a stable and continuous growth every year. And for example, for 2019, GDP was worth 15 billion US dollars, which is quite a big number for such a small country again. Another numbers I would like to focus your attention on is the unemployment rate, which is one of the lowest in the world again, which on January 2020 was 3.2% only, even considering the disruption which happened due to the coronavirus. I would say that Malta managed to handle it quite well with all the support measures and trying to support the employers in order to safeguard the employment. I wouldn't say that this benchmark of 3.2% went too high. It's going down again. And as you can see on the bottom graph, the foreign direct investment also is for July 2019 has been increased until 1,000 million euros, which just proves how attractive it is for foreign investors to invest in Malta. Now I'm going to give the floor to Dr. Janella so she can introduce the main programs of Maltese citizenship and residency.
Good. Good to give you some rest. So yes, actually, I wanted to take this opportunity. It's going to be the first time we're going to be talking about the new citizenship program, which the government is going to launch in the coming weeks. So at the moment we have, let's say, nothing concrete, but we have a very good indication on what the program will be. So basically, as we see now, as things stand now, the program gives you an eligibility to apply for citizenship when you invest, when you make a contribution to the government. The options, there are two main options. You can choose to go through the way of 1 year, or you can choose to opt for a period of 3 years, whereby after 3 years, you and the rest of your family will acquire citizenship by investment. If one chooses to make an investment of 750,000 euros contribution to the government, one can go through the route of 1 year, where basically together with the contribution, you make another contribution of 10,000 euros to a philanthropic organization, as well as investment in real estate. And there you have the route of the 1 year. If the investor chooses to go through the route of the 3 years, one is to invest 600,000 euros, actually contribute to the government, which is 50,000 euros less than before. Again, contribute 10,000 euros to a philanthropic organization and invest in real estate. The investment in real estate has gone up to 700,000 euros, whereas before it was much less. However, it has been proven that an investor who chooses citizenship as his route for himself and his family usually chooses a real estate project which is of a certain quality and a certain position. Usually we would see that, let's say, a 3-4 bedroom villa in a nice location in front of the sea would still cost you around 700,000 euros. This is something which an investor for citizenship usually goes for. So that didn't really make a difference. The benefits of having citizenship of Malta are definitely varies. Malta is a full member of the EU, with the tax programs being fully accepted by the EU Commission. So by having citizenship of an EU country, you are free to live, work and study in any of the EU countries as well as Switzerland. Apart from that, you have visa-free access to more than 183 countries, including UK, USA and Canada. Apart from that, a citizen of Malta can avail himself of free healthcare and education with a low minimum presence. So the government doesn't really request the investor to prove the presence in Malta. So an investor can choose to, let's say, have the family in Malta, and he or she can choose to travel around the world and also spend, let's say in this situation, spend most of the time in India, for example. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So let's say, looking at the cost, we can compare it to various other EU countries, but we can say that Malta is still, let's say, one of the most cost-effective programs in Europe. Actually, only Malta and Cyprus give citizenship as a, let's say, one can directly apply for citizenship there and then, whereas other countries, you have to, either the program is not available, or you'd have to live for years in the country to acquire citizenship. Can I have the next slide, please? So another way to get, let's say, a gateway into Europe is permanent residency. The permanent residency is a way how one can acquire, again, in the Schengen area, you have visa-free travel in the Schengen area, and you make an investment. The type of investment you make has to be real estate as well as investment in stocks and bonds. You hold these investments for a period of 5 years, after which you can let's say, sell, and you still retain the permanent residency for the main applicant and the rest of the family. The main applicant and the spouse can choose to also include their parents in the programs. So that is a very interesting option. Again, no presence is required. And this program gives an automatic visa while waiting. Okay, so and a new, let's say, a new option that has come up. There are a couple of investment companies who are willing to finance such investment. But if you require further information, we can open up more on that. So again, one of the most competitive programs in Europe, and also we see that the program takes around 3 months for acquisition, for permanent residency to be acquired. Next slide, please. Okay, so apart from personal relocation, one might be interested to also relocate the company, let's say, or open a new company, a separate company from the one he or she already has in India. This might be an option, whereas one would choose to have a completely separate structure and consequently a completely separate tax obligation, okay, in Malta and not in his country of origin. So in Malta, we have an eased structure whereby a company which is already incorporated in another country can be translated into a Maltese corporation, And by that, you would be preserving the continuity of the company's legacy, whereby the reputation is still there, the financial track record is still there, which will eventually help you when you are dealing with other companies in Malta and the rest of Europe. Malta, as many of you might know, is in EU and therefore the Eurozone, so we use the Euro. It's in the center of the Mediterranean, which is in the heart of Europe, whereby we have strong connections with mainland Europe, with Africa, and also the Middle East. Malta is also known to be strong when it comes to human resources, and the Maltese are usually, let's say, multilingual, okay? And the cost of labor is not high. It is not cheap, but it is not as high as compared to, let's say, Northern European countries, US or Canada, for example. Malta is also very popular to be, let's say, an automatic decision for those who choose to have a balance between lifestyle and the work and the business. So again, we get lots of investors who choose to have their corporation in Malta because they can have, let's say, best of both worlds when it comes to keeping a family life, having good education, and a safe country for children, and also a good business structure. We saw when it's a case of a pandemic, like for example, what happened this year, we saw the government aiding businesses with fiscal measures, such as, for example, providing wage subsidies of 800 euros per employee, for example, providing subsidized water and electricity bills, and lots of other options, tax deferrals, for example. We also had the distribution of vouchers, the famous government vouchers, which were given to all nationals and also residents. So people who are living in Malta and have a residency avail themselves of 100 euros in vouchers, which could be spent in restaurants and other shops to kickstart the economy. Next slide, please.
So I will take over the floor for a little while from Janella. Since she already mentioned how attractive it is to do business in Malta, I also wanted to point the attention to the kind of worldwide statistics of ease of doing business. As you can see, it's ranked 88 out of 190 economies worldwide, which is a perfect middle, which I would say is a pretty good for such a small island, and it just keeps growing because Maltese companies eventually they enter international market, they open new offices, and the companies keep growing and become more popular and more well known, and obviously it's a benefit for the country as well. And the competitiveness index is 68.55% of the Maltese economy. And something recent, which seems to be of interest to many clients we had, and in general, Maltese legislation of the gaming companies. So just to give a little bit of overview, Malta has Malta's gaming companies, when they open, they're regulated by Malta's Gaming Authority, which is an official regulator for all iGaming sector, with a proven track record of the strong regulatory regime, and with the main focus on responsible gaming, which fully supports the gaming companies, provides them with all necessary assistance should they need any, and advises on the legislation, etc., etc. From the Malta side, Malta offers very favorable and expert legislation for the gaming companies. It offers them very favorable taxes compared to the to the rest of the world and Europe. As you can see, it's the lowest in Europe, which is 500,000 a year, and for a gaming company, it's almost nothing, considering their income. When gaming companies are getting incorporated in Malta, they also are required to have a specific gaming license. And again, the licenses for the gaming companies are very low comparing to the rest of the world, and they're granted for 10 years unless it should be determined otherwise. The tax for the gaming revenue generated in Malta is only 5% again, and Malta, being EU member state and located in EU, provides freedom to gaming company to advertise and to act within all other EU states freely, considering the legislation. And it's a very big benefit since they don't need to incorporate additional office or they don't need any additional permissions from the EU country. The standard VAT is the same as for everyone else, it's 18%. However, since the gaming legislation is slightly different from the regular laws, it provides a lot of various exemptions on gaming supplies. And as mentioned before many times, Malta provides a skilled workforce, English workforce, ready to work for your company day and night, which would sustain your company and provide you with the all best possible results to improve your business. So what we say usually, so why not Malta, why some other countries? Because the choice is always on the client, but if you compare, let it be Portugal, let it be Greece, let it be Malta, every country offers something of their own, and Malta is not an exception. It's a beautiful country to live in, a lot of benefits. And if you have any questions, we would be very happy to answer them directly. Thank you.